Trying to fix toxic people is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. The more you try to please them, the more you burn. Epictetus was humiliated as a slave. Seneca was betrayed by those who claimed to be allies. Marcus Aurelius ruled while surrounded by false advisors. And yet, none of them allowed the poison of others to take control of what was theirs. In this video, you will learn 13 brutal Stoic principles for dealing with toxic people without losing your peace, your strength, or your identity. Each principle is a surgical strike that cuts through the emotional drain they try to create. And when you apply this, you stop reacting to the chaos and start mastering your inner space. By the end of this video, you will understand something that could change everything. Toxic people were never worthy of your energy. So now ask yourself, will you keep trying to fix others, or will you finally protect what is yours? Stoic Principle 1. Remove the mask before you try to understand the face. How many times have you tried to figure out why that person acts the way they do? You ask yourself, was it me? Am I overreacting? Can I help them? Stoicism gives a direct and uncomfortable answer. Before trying to understand someone, recognize the pattern they keep repeating. Seneca once wrote, "Do not trust those who constantly contradict their own words. Consistency is the first sign of a healthy mind." In other words, if someone lies, manipulates, drains, or pretends consistently, you are not dealing with a moment. You are dealing with a pattern. And here comes the brutal truth. You don't need to fully understand their trauma, their story, or their context to protect yourself from someone who clearly does not bring you peace. Many people get lost trying to decode someone else's toxicity, but the Stoics focused only on what could be controlled: their own response, their own clarity, their own energy. Stoic action step. Pay attention to consistency, not exceptions. If someone constantly drains, hurts, or contradicts themselves, the mask is already off. Act based on the pattern, not the promise. If this first principle already hit something real, hit the like button now. It helps this message reach more people who, just like you, might be getting emotionally drained without even realizing it. Now tell me, what if the toxic person hides behind the role of a victim? What if everything starts to revolve around them, and you begin to disappear? That's where the second Stoic principle comes in. Stoic Principle 2. Don't step into the emotional theater. Observe the invisible script. Have you ever walked into a conversation just trying to solve something simple, and suddenly it feels like you're stuck in a dramatic play? The person changes their tone, pretends not to understand, throws a tantrum, becomes the victim. And the worst part, they make you feel guilty for something that isn't even yours. That is not communication. That is emotional manipulation, Seneca wrote. The anger of others only controls us when we open the door to it. Toxic people use emotions as a tool. They feed off your imbalance. And the more you try to fix the situation, the deeper you get trapped in a story they wrote for you. That's why the Stoic principle here is clear. Do not step onto the stage. Observe the script. What does this person always do when challenged? What reaction do they need from you to feel powerful? What role are they trying to cast you in? If you don't observe this with calm awareness, you'll keep falling into the same emotional trap again and again. Stoic action step. During your next tense conversation, imagine that you're in the audience, not on the stage. Watch for the patterns. Shifting tone. Guilt tripping. Playing the victim disguised as vulnerability. When you spot the pattern, pause. Breathe. Do not react on impulse. Step out of the role they gave you. Write your own. Did someone come to mind while you heard this script? Then comment below. I walked out of the theater. Your comment might help someone else who keeps getting pulled into drama without even noticing. But now tell me this. What happens when toxicity doesn't show up as drama, but as concern? What if the person seems like they're trying to help you, but in truth they're only making you weaker? That's where the third Stoic principle comes in, and it might be uncomfortable to hear. Stoic Principle 3. Beware of those who offer support, but clip your wings. Not every toxic person attacks you directly. Some of them help you. They say they are just concerned, but their words quietly undermine your courage, your independence, and your clarity. Are you sure that's a good idea? Haven't you tried that before? I just don't want to see you get hurt. On the surface, it sounds like care, but underneath, it's control. Epictetus taught, "It is not events that disturb us, but the judgments we make about them." And here is the point. Toxic people disguised as protectors make you doubt your own judgment. They want you to depend on how they see you in order to feel capable, and that is destructive. It's like a pat on the back, while they quietly tie invisible weights to your feet. That's why this Stoic principle is clear. Beware of those who offer support, but clip your wings. Stoic action step. Learn to distinguish between guidance and limitation. Guidance strengthens you to take action. Limitation freezes you out of concern. Every time you receive criticism disguised as help, ask yourself, does this make me stronger or more uncertain? If it's the second one, thank them and detach internally. Not all concern is kindness. Sometimes it's just fear pretending to be closeness. If this principle reminded you of someone in your life, comment below, "I don't accept clipped wings." Your comment might set someone free who is still caught in a toxic loop of concern. Now take a deep breath, because the next principle goes straight to the trap that holds back even the strongest people. The belief that enduring everything is a sign of virtue, and what Stoicism has to say about that might completely change the way you protect yourself. Stoic Principle 4. Don't confuse resilience with permission. You've probably heard this before. You're strong, you can take it. Or maybe you've said it to yourself. It's not a big deal. I can handle it. So you tolerate. You tolerate sarcasm. You tolerate manipulation. You tolerate disrespect disguised as jokes, all in the name of resilience. But here's the brutal and liberating truth. Your strength should never be used as a reason for someone else's abuse. Seneca once said, "It's in the moments when we endure too much that we lose ourselves the most." Resilience is not about accepting the unacceptable. It's about protecting your integrity, even when it means saying no. Toxic people thrive when you confuse patience with passivity, when your ability to endure becomes the open door that lets them stay. That's why this principle is a turning point. Do not confuse resilience with permission. Stoic action step. Make a short list. Ask yourself, what have I been tolerating just to avoid conflict? For examples, jokes that diminish you, constant lateness, demands disguised as concern. Next to each item write, does this strengthen my integrity or weaken my self-respect? Choose one single boundary from that list to reinforce this week. Maybe it's saying clearly that sarcastic jokes are no longer welcome. Maybe it's choosing not to respond to people who only show up to demand something. That's not ego, that's respect for yourself and for who you're becoming. If this hits you in any way, comment below. Being strong doesn't mean allowing everything. Your comment might be the silent boundary someone else needs to hear today. Now stay with me, because the next principle is even more subtle and more dangerous. It's about that person who says they love you, but makes you feel smaller every time you start to shine. And the Stoics had a simple and brutal answer for that. Stoic Principle 5. Understand that their problem is not you. Have you noticed how toxic people try to project their pain onto you? They provoke you and then blame you for reacting. They pressure you and then say you're too sensitive. They belittle you and still make you apologize. Do you know why? Because to them, the problem is never internal. It is always someone else. It is always you. But the Stoics had a brutal insight about this. Epictetus said, "What troubles you is not what others do. It's what you choose to absorb." You might not be at fault for being involved, but you are responsible for not absorbing what is not yours. Toxic people live inside emotional cycles that didn't begin with you, and they will not end with you, but they will try to drag you into them. And this is where your Stoic power lies. You don't have to accept what has been projected onto you. Stoic action step. When you feel attacked or emotionally manipulated, repeat mentally, "This weight is not mine. I return it." Take a deep breath for 3 seconds before responding. If you still want to say something, speak clearly and firmly. No explanations, no justifications. You are not here to carry someone else's chaos. You are here to master your internal state. If this principle lit something inside you, comment below. I return what isn't mine. Your comment might become the shield someone needs today to avoid falling into an emotional trap. And now, stay sharp. Because the next Stoic principle cuts straight into the most common mistake we make when dealing with toxic people, believing it is our job to make them change. Stoic Principle 6. Do not try to save those who choose to sink. Have you ever tried to help someone who rejected every effort? You reached out your hand and got ingratitude in return. Most of us have been there because deep down, we believe that with patience, kindness, or more explanation, the person will eventually change. But the Stoics knew that this could be a dangerous illusion. Seneca said, "Do not try to straighten what chooses to remain crooked." Toxic people don't always want to be saved. They want attention. They want control. They want to keep the chaos going. As long as they remain at the center. And when you try to save someone like that, do you know what happens? You lose yourself too. Here is the brutal truth. Not everyone wants help. Some just want company in their own suffering. Stoic action step. Stop insisting where there is no reciprocity. Every time you feel guilty for giving up on someone, remember this. Saving someone who doesn't want to be saved is abandoning yourself. Use this phrase as an anchor. I help where there is space. I step away where there is choice. If this principle brought you clarity, comment below. No more drowning for those who refuse to swim. And if you want to keep shielding yourself from toxic cycles with real Stoic wisdom, subscribe to the channel now. Here, we don't romanticize chaos. We train the mind, the presence, and the boundaries. Now take a deep breath, because the next principle is about the biggest mistake we make after walking away from toxic people. We carry their poison with us. Stoic Principle 7. Don't carry the poison with you. You finally walked away from the toxic person, but deep inside you're still stuck. You replay conversations in your head. You rehearse responses you'll never give. You feel anger, frustration, guilt, emptiness, and here's the trap. Sometimes the toxic person leaves your life, but keeps living in your mind. Marcus Aurelius said, "Soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In other words, if you keep feeding corrosive thoughts, you keep being poisoned. And this is a common mistake. Believing that ending the contact means ending the influence. But the Stoic truth is more brutal. You are only free when you no longer carry the prison within. Stoic action step. Every time a corrosive thought about that person shows up, recognize it and say, "This is not mine. This is residue from what I've already left behind." Take a deep breath. Shift your focus to what builds you up, not what breaks you down. Keep a sacred mental space, somewhere only you and your principles reside. Did this part resonate with you? Then comment below. The poison is not mine. That simple phrase might help someone else break free from the thoughts still chaining them to the past. Now stay with me, because the next principle is what separates those who remain prisoners of the past from those who lead the present with clarity. Stoic Principle 8. Control what you repeat. There's something most people never realize. Toxic people don't just hurt you when they're around. They keep influencing you every time you replay the story. You tell a friend this, then you tell it again. Then you think about what you should have said. Then you reread the old messages. Then you check their social media. And before you notice, you've relived the pain 5 times, but it only happened once. Seneca said, "It's not the blow that hurts the most. It's the number of times we relive it." Your mind needs clarity, not destructive repetition. And the Stoic question here is simple. Are you repeating this to free yourself or to sabotage yourself? Stoic action step. Notice how often you relive stories that should already be closed. An unfair comment, an old argument, an emotional betrayal. Every time you feel the urge to tell the story again, write this down. Is this repetition setting me free or keeping me stuck? Replace repetition with reconstruction. Instead of replaying what happened, write a new affirmation. I choose to protect my peace, not my pain. Take 10 minutes to do something that strengthens your new identity. Read a Stoic quote. Train, breathe, study. If this principle already stirred something inside you, hit the like button now. That simple action helps spread this message, and it might be the key for someone to finally escape the cycle and breathe in peace again. Now take a deep breath, because the next principle is about what to do when you still have to live with the toxic person and you can't simply cut them off completely. And that is one of the hardest lessons, but maybe the most powerful. Stoic Principle 9. Don't play the emotional game that weakens you. Some people live in cycles of provocation. They say something just to get a reaction. They create tension to see if you'll explode. They make subtle jabs to put you on the defensive. This isn't communication. It's an emotional game. And their goal is simple: to throw you off balance. And here's the worst part. When you react exactly how they expected, you give them what they wanted from the beginning. Your imbalance. Epictetus said, "No one can irritate you unless you allow it." This is not about becoming cold, it's about becoming unshakable, because every time you engage in the game, you validate the rules of someone who never played fair. You don't need to prove anything. You need to protect everything you're building inside. Stoic action step. Identify the emotional games that affect you the most. Jokes disguised as irony. Manipulative silence. Passive-aggressive comments. The next time it happens, breathe. Observe without reacting impulsively. Repeat mentally. I don't react to what weakens me. I act on what strengthens me. Afterwards, write down how you felt for not falling into the trap. Did you feel lighter? More in control? Did the other person stop trying to provoke you? This practice will show you something powerful. Real strength doesn't come from winning the argument. It comes from not letting the argument win you. Now think with me, if some people throw us off with subtle words, others can do it just by being in the room. But the next principle will show you how to deal with that without losing your peace. Stoic Principle 10. Learn to shield yourself from draining presences without feeling guilty. Some people don't need to say a word, and you already feel exhausted. Your body tightens, your mind feels foggy, your energy fades, and the most dangerous part, you don't even know why. These people act like emotional vampires. They don't yell or slam doors, but they slowly empty you with glances, with silence, with invisible demands, and often they make you believe it's your fault. But the Stoics had a brutal perspective on this. Epictetus said, "You must not hand over your power even to someone's presence." In other words, you don't need to wait for a direct attack to protect yourself. You must recognize when your peace is being drained silently. And more importantly, you must not feel guilty for defending your own energy. Your mental integrity is what's truly at stake. Stoic action step. Do a simple self-check. Who do you always feel drained around after just one interaction? Intentionally reduce your time with those people. No justifications, no blame, no drama. Simply protect your presence through quiet decisions. Create a personal shield phrase. Something like, "My energy is not available to those who don't respect my balance." Repeat this before difficult encounters, and notice how it changes your inner stance. Did this principle remind you of someone? Then comment below. I no longer give away my power. Your comment might become the shield for someone still feeling guilty about stepping back. And if this video is already helping you see more clearly, who truly deserves your presence and who doesn't? Subscribe to the channel now. Here, we train daily in clarity, inner strength, and conscious choices. Now take a deep breath, because the next principle is even more subtle, but just as toxic. It's the burden of trying to save those who don't want to be saved. Stoic Principle 11. Stop trying to save those who don't want to be saved. Have you ever spent time trying to save someone? Helping, encouraging, rescuing. You offered advice, support, patience. You tried to be the safe harbor, the anchor, the light. But this person didn't change, didn't want to change. Or worse, they used your help as a crutch to stay the same. Seneca said, "Do not waste what is valuable on those who refuse to value it." And this is one of the hardest truths you'll hear today. Not everyone wants to be saved. Many people cling to their pain because it has become their identity. If you keep insisting, you get trapped in someone else's cycle and forget your own path. The Stoics weren't cold, they were clear. Help? Yes. Sacrifice yourself for someone who doesn't want to change? No. Because when you try to save someone who doesn't want to be saved, you end up sinking too. Stoic action step. Reflect with brutal honesty. Who have you been trying to save for far too long? Ask yourself, does this person truly want to change, or do they just want company in their pain? Set a silent boundary. Only help in ways that don't sacrifice your peace, your growth, your path. Create a Stoic protection phrase. I cannot walk the path for you. I can only walk mine with strength, and let that be the example. Did this part speak to something you needed to hear? Comment below. I release those who don't want to rise. Someone reading that right now might be stuck in this exact cycle, and your words could be the start of their freedom. Now pay attention, because the next Stoic principle will remind you of something essential that many people forget. You have both the right and the duty to cut toxic cycles, without guilt, without noise, with strength. Stoic Principle 12. End toxic cycles, even in silence. Some relationships don't end with a fight. They end with clarity. You realize there is no exchange anymore. Only demands, exhaustion, and resentment. And yet, you stay, trying to hold on to what's already pulling you down, afraid of being seen as cold, afraid of being called selfish. But the Stoic truth is simple and brutal. What keeps wounding you must be cut off. Epictetus said, "Avoid what weakens your soul." And here is the most important reflection of this video. The people you keep close shape who you are becoming. If you want to build an unshakable mind, you must cut ties that drain your vital energy. Even if no one understands, even if the other person plays the victim, even if your old self still wants to fix everything. Because your peace cannot be a constant battlefield. Stoic action step. Make a silent list. Who are the 3 people that drain my energy the most right now? Ask yourself with courage, if I cut this connection, will my life get better or worse? Define a plan to distance yourself gradually or immediately, such as stop replying instantly, stop sharing your emotional energy, change your presence even before changing your words. Every time guilt tries to pull you back, repeat, my peace is not negotiable. If this made sense to you, comment below. I ended the cycle. I protected my peace. Your comment might be exactly what someone needs to read today to take their next step with courage. Now take a deep breath, because the final Stoic principle will close this video with the most powerful reminder of all. Your energy is your responsibility. And no one, absolutely no one, is worth your collapse. Stoic Principle 13. Protect your energy like an emperor protects his empire. Toxic people don't need permission to invade your mind. They only need openings. And most of the time, those openings are created by you. When you ignore the signs, when you give in to guilt, when you try to keep the peace by sacrificing your own. But the Stoics understood one non-negotiable truth. Your mind is your most valuable territory. And like any sacred ground, it needs walls. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He ruled the Roman Empire, but his most important empire was within. What about yours? How many times have you handed emotional control to people who don't even have control over themselves? How many times has someone's chaos become your own? How many precious days have you lost trying to fix someone who doesn't want to change? Here's the truth. Protecting your energy is not selfishness, it is leadership. Stoic action step. Choose a symbol of mental protection. It can be a phrase, an image, a gesture. Something that reminds you your energy is a priority. Use that symbol every time someone tries to invade your internal state. Say something like, "Today I lead my empire. I don't surrender to invaders." Or simply touch something in your pocket and breathe with intention. Practice Stoic armor, clarity in your eyes, calm in your voice, silence as your shield. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to fight every battle. You only need to lead your inner territory like a true Stoic emperor. Comment below, "My energy is my empire." That might be your silent declaration and a powerful reminder for someone out there who's tired of constantly reacting to everything and everyone. Now listen carefully. You made it this far. You've gone through 13 Stoic principles. You reflected, you connected, maybe you even felt emotional. But there's only one way to make it all matter. And that's what we'll show you in the final part. A powerful conclusion to bring everything together and show you how to turn these ideas into a real daily armor. You are one step away from becoming unshakable, not out of arrogance, but out of presence. Come with us to the final part. It might change how you deal with anyone. From this moment on, you've made it through 13 Stoic principles. And even if you connected with just 3 or 2 or even one of them, that's already a sign that you're no longer willing to negotiate your energy. At the beginning of this video, we made one clear promise, that by the end, you would understand why toxic people never deserved your energy. And now, here's the answer right in front of you. Because your energy is your life force, it's your focus, your clarity, your ability to build, and all of that should be protected, not given away. Toxic people don't want solutions. They want an audience. They want confusion. They want attention. But now you know, the best response is not to yell, not to explain, not to get revenge. It is to build boundaries. It is to observe. It is to decide with clarity and presence where they end and where you begin. Marcus Aurelius led an empire, but his true leadership was in his own mind. And you? Will you keep giving your peace to people who live in constant inner conflict, or will you start protecting your energy with the same discipline you use to protect your greatest goals? Because in the end, they never deserved your energy, and now they won't even know how to reach you. Every principle you practice is another brick in the wall of your inner peace. Now that you understand protecting your energy is not selfishness, it is Stoic wisdom in action. Choose one principle from today, just one, and practice it for the next 7 days. Comment below. My energy starts being protected with principle. Fill in the number or the phrase that gave you the most strength. Your comment might be the shield someone else needs to finally break free from a cycle of manipulation, guilt, or emotional exhaustion. This video is not just content, it is a turning point. So make it count. Like the video, it helps this message reach someone who needs it. Subscribe to the channel, because here every video is real training. To make you unshakable on the inside and on the outside. This video wasn't made for everyone. It was made for those who chose to live with intention. If you've made it this far, you've already done more than most. Now don't stop here. Because here at Stoic Solutions Now, you don't just find reflection, you find discipline, clarity, action. Each principle from today was a stone, and stone by stone, you are building your inner fortress, not against the world, but in favor of your peace. So if this connected with you, subscribe now. Rewatch, practice, grow. Share this video with someone who needs to protect their energy. You are no longer here to react. You are here to lead. I'll see you in the next episode. But until then, protect your energy. Stand firm in your boundaries and let the toxic ones get confused by your silence.